Sometimes life throws bold moments at you, like finding the perfect vacation or finding the ideal location. At BOS, we're there to help you meet those moments with bold confidence. So whether it's managing money for future plans or getting what you need to start planning your dream, we're here to bring you a better banking experience. Make the bold move and switch to BOS today.
Hi, this is Ron Kinscherf. This is the Business Spotlight brought to you by the Bank of Springfield. We have a couple of guests with us, Matt Bergman from the Trust Department of State Street Bank and Keaton Bartz, the new head of Gardner Camp down in Southern Illinois. So, Matt, why don't you first tell us a little bit about the history of Gardner Camp and State Street?
Sure. Well, back in 2012, when Jack Gardner passed away, was a very local, prominent businessman here in the community. He chose to leave his family camp in a trust, and he appointed State Street Bank as the trustee of that camp with the requirements that we develop it into what it is today, a camp for youth of the area to get off their screens and to get out into nature and to learn about all things nature. And it's been going strong really since after they had a development board when they first started. They got it up and running, and so for the past 10 to 12 years it's been fully operational as a camp serving youth all across really the tri-state area.
Yeah, and it's serving the youth at no cost to the youth, if I recall, right?
Correct.
Right?
Through the generosity of Mr. Gardner, he left money in the trust along with the camp to be able to sustain it in perpetuity, and it's really cool to get to see what his legacy is going to be here.
Yeah, and there's and Keaton, you are now the head of Gardner Camp.
Yep,
and
director.
So what is director? Sorry, what is your history with Gardner Camp?
Yeah, so really, I didn't know a whole lot about Gardner Camp at first. I think that's something that is one of my main goals right now, is to make sure we spread the word of Gardner Camp. The director of hunting, Brandon Rollins, had brought me in, talked to me about it a little bit, and I went with him I talked over the whole process of what Gardner Camp really is, and whenever I took my first tour of Gardner Camp, it was a wow experience. It was just that eye-opening thing for me, and it was like, man, I can really make my future here. So
now, growing up, were you an outdoors guy, I'm assuming?
Absolutely, yeah. So kind of, getting to fit in with those kids on that, having a place for me to go hunting wasn't really always the first opportunity. So, giving that opportunity to these kids where they're getting to come out to 540 acres of land to go out and hunt and do something that they may not be able to experience without this camp is something really, really special.
So where'd you grow up at?
In Hannibal.
You're in Hannibal, kid.
Yep.
So you ended up going to college and you had your master's in education, right?
Yes.
And so you're on the path to be a teacher.
Correct.
And then this came along.
Yeah. So
kind of a change.
It is.
Change of
So
direction.
I was a 7th grade math teacher for 4 years, including my student teaching year, and I love teaching. I love making those connections with the kids, and I was also a soccer coach, so getting to coach and see all aspects of the education field there. But then whenever hearing about this job, it really brings in my background of hunting and fishing and anything outdoors. I love being in the outdoors. So if I could, educate youth in the way that I am really passionate about, that's my biggest goal.
Yeah, I think talking to people who make pivots like you have from something to something almost completely different.
Exactly.
You're connecting with youth, but the excitement that comes along with that pivot too, because this was not on your radar at all, I'm assuming, and just so working with the kids was what you're most excited about. And why don't you tell the folks that aren't really aware you can hunt and fish at this, but there's a lot of other stuff kids do at this camp.
So that's the thing. There's something for everybody at Gardner Camp. They have the astronomy program if you're not really a hunter. So we have a huge star lab for this. And, they could go to that star lab and pick out a day from 10 years from today and say, I want to look at the night sky from then, and they can pop that up and look at it. We also have the archery club. We have our buddy trap league that's going on right now.
Okay.
We have a beginner and advanced hunt club, so learning new topics every month, and along with the deer, the duck, pheasant, and dove hunting seasons that we have. We also do duck banding that's coming up pretty soon. And I am really excited about that one on my own, but so yeah,
you'd be shoving the kids out of the way.
Yeah, I might be a little selfish on that. Wait, let me see that one.
The one thing you mentioned I didn't know you guys were doing was you have stuff going on all summer long.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep.
I thought you just
Yep.
had specific events and contests
No.
and stuff like that. But
Year round. And something new that we actually just are starting up is our outdoor classroom. So that's something really neat for me to see is, all the new things that we have now compared to even whenever I was in school. So the outdoor classroom being, schools get to bring their kids over and, teach their lessons out at our facility.
Okay.
Get to see everything that we can do for them. And
so how do people? So if there's a teacher watching this, how do they get involved to wanting to do that? So I'm assuming you're scheduling for the fall with this type of thing, right? So how do they get a hold of you?
Well, that's a great question. So you can get on.
I'm full of great questions.
Yeah,
That's why
you can get on the Gardner Camp website
gig.
there, or even my phone number as well. I think that's one of the big things that we're trying to do is connect with the school. So that's something that I think I'll be getting out and reaching out to those schools as well for that opportunity.
And you serve not just the Quincy-Hannibal area, correct?
Correct.
Because this is down in the Pike County area, if I recall, Matt.
Yeah, by Hull.
So how far are you I shouldn't say allowing, are inviting kids to come and participate in these things?
I think our primary target is within like a 40-mile radius,
Right.
but that's not to say we wouldn't entertain a group from farther away. But there's enough. I think we added it up the other day, and there were probably 40 maybe high schools, middle schools and high schools in a 45-mile radius. So we are really going to try to target to them to offer them these opportunities.
So it sounds like you're a guy who's going to be on the phone calling Matt and saying, "Hey, I just got this idea."
Yeah. Yep. We that's the great thing about this job is we have such a great team bonding. We're good at connecting and getting our communication out there to each other and really making those ideas come to life. So.
And do you have any projects coming up? Because it seems like you guys always have something that you're working on, Matt, at the camp.
Well, Keaton just mentioned the outdoor classroom. That's the
Right.
biggest one. We're still in the finishing stages of that.
Okay, so you're still building that, right?
We've tried it out this past spring. We've had a couple classes out to test it out, and now we're kind of fine-tuning it, getting it ready for this fall. So that's really the latest project. But there's always things we want to do in the future, and
We're always open to those suggestions and everything as well.
Absolutely, and new program ideas.
So it's not primarily, I want to stress this part, for hunting and fishing and stuff like that.
Correct.
It's basically, the goal is to get youth outside. And
Exactly.
you mentioned away from your screens, but
That
just
was
to get them
Jack Gardner's
outside.
wish.
Yeah.
Was it? Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thanks for coming in. Nice
Yeah,
meeting you, sir.
nice to meet you, too.
All right, always good to see
Yeah,
you.
you too.
All right,
Thank
Matt
you.
Bergman with State Street Bank. Keaton Bartz, the new director
Yes,
of
sir.
the Gardner Camp down in Southern Illinois. I'm Ron Kincher. This has been the Business Spotlight, brought to you by the Bank of Springfield.
Sometimes life throws bold moments at you, like finding the perfect vacation or finding the ideal location. At BOS, we're there to help you meet those moments with bold confidence. So whether it's managing money for future plans or getting what you need to start planning your dream, we're here to bring you a better banking experience. Make the bold move and switch to BOS today.